What's up, you guys? Welcome back to Frisson Sports. I am here once again. It is Thursday, which means I'm here with Dawkins, Miles Dawkins, 24/7. How you doing, man?
Doing good, man. Can't wait to talk today, man. Got some sports topics I think everybody's going to enjoy. Let's get into it, man.
Let's get into it. So, without further ado, let's jump right into it. So, let's start by talking about the allegation that Adam Wainwright laid in a pitch to Derek Jeter in order to have Derek Jeter leave on a high note in the All Star game.
Yeah.
If you don't know what happened, basically, in an interview, Adam Wainwright said that he kind of eased it in there to him, and then later on he took it back or something like that. Dawkins, what do you think about this, man? I mean, what was your reaction when you heard that he said this?
I mean, I kind of made a comment during our live stream that I don't believe that he was too focused for the first pitch, for the first at bat, because everybody knows that Derek Jeter led off the All Star game. He was the first one up to bat and stuff like that. So I made a little comment that he probably wasn't too focused for that at bat. I figured that he would be more focused, during the rest of the game to just kind of poke fun at him. But what rubbed me the wrong way is like maybe a lot of people knew it. If people knew it, they didn't care. But as soon as you say it on camera in the interview, it makes you look like an a-hole. You know what I mean? It makes you look like you have no class. Like, don't nobody really needs to know. Everybody can have their own opinion if you let Derek Jeter, get on base, or whatever, give him an easy pitch to hit. Like, everybody can kind of tell. But once you say it, it's like, what are you doing? You know what I mean? So that definitely rubbed me the wrong way. But at the end of the day, what can you do? You know what I mean? I wish he wouldn't have said it. It looks even worse now that he took it back. I kind of feel bad for Derek Jeter. You know what I mean? Because it was definitely fun to see him get a double. Because that's what I was hoping. I was hoping that he could at least get on base, yada, yada, yada. And the fact that they gave it to him, that's fine. It's an all-star game. Don't really have a problem with it. And most people wouldn't have a problem with it if this all-star game didn't determine who got, home field advantage in the World Series.
Yeah. Adam Wainwright didn't really pitch very well that inning. So
Then
I feel like he I mean, we don't know what he did or what his mindset was, but like you said, the fact that he said that takes away from what Derek Jeter did, and it kind of made a lot of people question things. But it also has to be said that maybe he just like I said, like he wasn't pitching very well. Maybe he just left the ball where it shouldn't be left, and Derek Jeter smashed it, and he felt like he did have a bad inning. He gave up some runs, and he wanted to make a jab. It's very class. It's not very classy to say, especially because it's kind of like Derek Jeter's night. Um,
right, it really
yeah,
was.
so I didn't like that part of it. So yeah, I'm kind of on the same wave as you. I don't like the comment. I wish. I mean, there was so many other stuff that he could have said, and it just shows that like. I don't know. I mean, maybe it shows that maybe Derek Jeter isn't the type of player that a lot of players look up to as much as we may think. I don't know if that's a true statement, but it kind of makes me think about that as well. I mean, maybe there's
Yeah, I
jealousy
mean,
there.
definitely, or going back to your point that he didn't have a good inning, so maybe he was making excuses to why he had a bad inning. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
That he gave up that first pitch and he kind of got out of his rhythm, stuff like that. You know what I mean? So I can see that, making an excuse because he didn't play that well. But I mean, I think me and you are on the same page. It was just a very classless move.
yeah. All right, touching on something that you mentioned about the home field advantage. Do you think that home field advantage should be determined in the All Star game in the World Series? I guess for the World Series.
For me, no. I mean, they did this because people lost interest after the All Star game in Milwaukee when it ended in a tie, and I guess baseball felt like they had to get some fans back. And it's not like baseball is doing a good job of getting new fans anyway. So to have this be the determining factor to which representative from which league gets home field advantage, to me it's kind of crap because every team is represented, for the All-Star game. Even if the team sucks, even if the guy's having a mediocre year, what I mean, every team was represented. So let's say that, the NL representative, let's say just to for sake of a argument, is going to be the Giants. Well, would you want a Cubs player to be the last at bat, bottom of the ninth? You know what I mean? 2-on, the score is 2-1, and he's going to determine who gets, home field advantage. Like, is that really fair? So to me, it's very gimmicky. You know, kind of like the home run derby, how like they have a captain picks teams, AL versus NL type of stuff. Like, it's cool. I get it. You were trying to get people more interested in it. But I think the All-Star Game's popularity hasn't really changed throughout the years. Yeah, you have people upset with what happened in Milwaukee, but it only happened one time. So it's not the biggest deal in the world, you know what I mean? But I don't like it, you know, to answer your question. I don't like it. I feel like, you know, whoever has the best record going into the World Series, they've earned the right to host for the first two games or to have home field advantage.
Yeah, I really like it in some ways, and I don't like it in other ways. I like it because it forces players to play, especially the Oakland A's and teams and players that play on teams that have good records are going to make the playoffs and have the potential going to the World Series. They're going to play for it, you know. On the flip side, like you said, I mean, do I want somebody on the Royals or somebody on the Pirates to come up if my team is fighting for that World Series title? You know, I see your point there, but I like because it makes it. I'm afraid that if they take it away, it's going to kind of end up, you know, having like the pitcher come in and like play center field, or like having the second baseman come in and like pitch and stuff like that. You know, I can definitely see things like that happening, like kind of, and that can kind of really destroy the game. So I like that it's like that. And also another thing, home field advantage in baseball as opposed to basketball or football even, it's not, well, football doesn't really make sense, but like for other sports, it doesn't really matter that much because fans of baseball don't impact the game as much as they do in other places. You know, I mean, in basketball, for example, there's the atmosphere, it's inside, it's loud. There's screaming, there's towels waving, all that stuff. I mean, last year was the first time we saw that, and that was in Pittsburgh, and they got knocked out anyways. So, you know, no offense to Pittsburgh or nothing, but so I kind of really don't feel like, especially in baseball, home field advantage has that big of an impact on things. I mean, we saw that the A's, for example, got knocked out on that home field advantage in every one of their playoffs these past couple years, and they got knocked out in 5 games or something like that. So
they got beat by a better team.
I know, but you know.
Nah, I totally see where you're coming from.
Yeah. So I like it, and I hope it stays like that. And Tony Kornheiser needs to shut up though, because him and Wilbon don't like it because they say that, like you said, you know, it's kind of too big of a thing to have as an all-star thing, but then on the flip side, they get mad about like the Pro Bowl and the All-Star game and stuff.
I mean, again, but I think, I see where you're coming from. It makes you have that quote unquote illusion that these guys are really trying hard because they're playing for something. But again, baseball was the one All-Star game where it looked like these guys were trying no matter what, because baseball, you know, is not really, you know, go all in 100% on every single pitch, every single at bat, every single ground ball. You're not going 110% trying to get that ground ball. You know what I mean? I feel like Derek Jeter would have dove for that first pitch that came his way, regardless if it would meant that his team gets home field advantage or not. I feel like he's that type of player that would have done it. In the Pro Bowl, you have to remember that these guys' contracts are not guaranteed. So if they get hurt in the Pro Bowl, the team that they represent could just cut them, and that team doesn't owe them the rest of their contract. So it's different in football. You know what I mean? The Pro Bowl is a joke. It really is. I don't think in the All-Star game for basketball, they don't really play any defense and stuff like that, so you can say that that's a joke. But, I mean, it's an All-Star game. It's an exhibition. And the one thing that MLB had going for it is that you had the best stars representing your game in the middle of July when baseball is the only thing really going on. So you didn't really have to make it a gimmick. You really didn't have to have home field advantage for the World Series riding on this game when you have so many teams that are represented that won't even sniff the playoffs this year.
Good point. Awesome. All right. Sorry, man. Moving on. So let's talk about the NBA free agency craziness. It just came out, and I don't know if you saw this, that the Cavaliers are willing to trade Wiggins for Love. We talked about this a little bit in the All-Star live stream, but would you, if you were in the Cavs, would you trade Wiggins and let's say Anderson Varejao and another first-round pick for Kevin Love?
If Kevin Love signs to me and he signs a 5-year deal instead of a 2-year deal like LeBron James did, and not the 2-year deal thinking that LeBron James is going to leave after 2 years, but just because I would only want to have one maximum player under contract, for the max money and stuff like that, then I would absolutely do it because then you have, your big three, if you will, of Kyrie Irving, LeBron James, and Kevin Love. And I think that's a very, very good, starting lineup. I like Wiggins. I think that he can turn into a star player. I think that he can, really spread his wings and be one of, the leading scorers in this league. He's an athletic freak. He will have to work on his three-point jump shot. But almost anybody coming into the league has to work on their three-point jump shot unless it's Doug McDermott or whatever. So at the end of the day, I like the move. I like the idea of the move. Again, Wiggins is your future, so to speak, but I thought that Kyrie Irving was your future. You know what I mean? You just signed him to a 5-year, $90 million contract. LeBron James, if we can take him for his word, he's not really going anywhere. You know what I mean? He's probably going to retire a Cav. So you already have your future lined up. And again, you don't really know what Wiggins is going to turn out to be. We know who Kevin Love is. He's a double-double machine. He can get you rebounds. He can shoot the three. He can shoot the mid-range. You know what I mean? He's not the best defender, but when you have, an athletic guy like LeBron James, and you have Verjao that's just going to be down there to be a big body and to take charges and to take fouls and stuff like that, then you don't really need your power forward to be that great of a defender. You know what I mean? So I like the idea of the move. I think Wiggins is going to be fine no matter where he plays. He's doing this thing in the summer league right now, even though I know it doesn't count, and that's really preseason. I mean, oh my gosh, you're going against people who belong in the D League. But anyways, man, Wiggins, he is doing his thing, take it for what it is in the summer league. So I'm excited to see this young man play. But again, I feel like Wiggins, if LeBron James does stay and Kyrie Irving does stay, ultimately Wiggins will be the third option. And when you're a young guy and you want to be that guy going forward in your career, I don't know how long Wiggins would want to stay in Cleveland if he's trying to be the guy and be the main reason why his team wins championships instead of being a piece to another person's success, kind of like, a Scottie Pippen or like a Dumarsh or whatever for the Pistons.
Yeah, I'm not sold on Love, and that could just be me, but I see him as being a good second option, possibly third option, not a number one option, and I don't think that he's worth giving up Andrew Wiggins, who has the potential to be a number one star. And it's like when you're Golden State Warriors are thinking about giving up Klay Thompson and whatever else you guys think about giving up, David Lee and stuff. It's like, I don't know. Yes, Kevin Love is an amazing player, and his rebounding stats are off the chart. But you can argue that a lot of them are like tips and stuff, and he definitely lives under that rim. And a lot of his 3-point shots are more transition shots than anything. He's mostly he's getting offensive rebounds and stuff. So, I don't know. I mean, I don't see him being that much higher than like a David Lee. And so,
no, I mean, David Lee not averaging triple. I mean, David Lee is not averaging double doubles. David Lee is not hitting a 3-point shot. I do agree with you. I feel like Kevin Love is definitely not a first option for a team trying to contend for a championship. But I don't believe he will be even the second option in Cleveland. Kyrie Irving is a bona fide star in this league. I think Kyrie Irving needs some help, and you gave him the best help of all in LeBron James. And we all know from LeBron James' past, LeBron James is a guy who wants some help, doesn't want to do it by himself. And Kyrie Irving is a great number 2 option. So if you bring in a guy like Kevin Love, he could be that third option. I think that's a very good third option.
Yeah. I mean, okay, so do you think that Kevin Love is the best power forward in the game right now then?
No, absolutely not.
Where would you put him?
Definitely top 5. Definitely top 5. And I think everybody feels like Wiggins can definitely be the number 1 shooting guard at some point in his career, maybe even the number 1 player in the league at some point in his career. So I see where you're coming from. Like, you don't know what you're going to get with Wiggins, but that could be a good thing or a bad thing. With Kevin Love, you know what you're going to get. Is he the number 1 power forward? No. Is he over Blake Griffin and Aldridge? Probably not. You know what I mean? But if you put him on a team with LeBron James and you put him on a team with Kyrie Irving, two guys that can score, two guys that can create for other players, then I think that his stock could even go up because he's not going to miss out on any rebounds. He's still going to get you 10-plus rebounds a game. His points might go down, but in Minnesota, he's really the only option.
Would you put him above or below Chris Bosh?
The Chris Bosh in Toronto, Chris Bosh is that dude to me. He I think Chris Bosh is probably the third or fourth best power forward. You know what I mean? I think the class of power forwards is definitely, Aldridge and Blake Griffin right now. But I like Chris Bosh's game. It's gonna be interesting to see how he plays in Miami this year without LeBron James, and he might even have to take on more of a role if Dwayne Wade's knees don't get any better. But it's hard to say because I think Chris Bosh is more versatile, but Chris Bosh isn't like a 20 and 10 type of guy, and Kevin Love showed that he can do that.
Yeah. I will put Chris Bosh now over Kevin Love, and again, like it's just because I haven't seen him, and it could be because you've seen him more because you watch a lot more West games than I do. I'm more of an East guy myself. Like I haven't seen him play, and like I said, like he doesn't go up against my Nets or whatever. So it's kind of hard for me to say that he's that big of a difference maker. But like you said, when you pair him up with the best player in the league and you pair him up with a good young point guard and good role players and that Russian coach or whatever, hey, maybe it can happen. Maybe he can, maybe they can do something. But if you add Love to the Cavs, let's say that this deal gets done, are they now? Would you put them on the top of the East with Love?
With Love, would I put him on the top of the East? Possibly, because now you have Love, you have Mike Miller coming off of the bench, and he's somebody who can hit the three. You know what I mean? The Cavs look like they could be the best team in the East. I'm very interested to see what Chicago can do, though. I think if D Rose can come healthy, if D Rose is healthy, I like Chicago. I really do like Chicago. You know what I mean? But because LeBron left Miami, it's really wide open in the East, and not so much because all the teams suck, but it's a whole lot more parity. Like I don't think anybody right now can pick the very best team of the East. You know what I mean? Even with Kevin Love, I don't know if you could say that about the Cavs because it's going to be interesting to see how Kevin Love plays with LeBron James.
Yeah. All right. So this just in, I guess, or recently in, Carlos Boozer is now claimed off waivers from to the Los Angeles Lakers. So
Lakers are desperate.
So with that, does that change their stock or their potential standings next year at all, adding Carlos Boozer to the mix?
For the Lakers?
Yeah.
Again, I'm really talking about injury-prone players, but if Kobe can be, the second or third best shooting guard in the league, then the Lakers have a chance to make it to the playoffs at least. It's going to be hard. Right now, they don't even have a coach. I think we can all agree that Powell going to Chicago is a plus for Chicago to get that guy as a power forward and to leave Boozer, on the bench or I guess on waivers and stuff like that. So the Lakers, if you swap Powell for Boozer, then you obviously took a step back when it comes to power forwards. But again, I feel like that Jay Sloan, Utah, pick and roll offense was perfect for Boozer. If they can implement some of that, for this guy in Los Angeles, then maybe he can go back to his Utah days. I don't know if that's possible. I don't know if that's going to happen. It's really going to be all up on Kobe. Kobe is going to have to find the fountain of youth or something like that and will his team into the playoffs.
Kobe has 2 years left on his contract, his 2-year contract.
Yeah, two-year deal. This is probably the last 2 years for him. You know what I mean? Because he's breaking down. He said that he would retire when he feels like he's no longer one of the top players in the league. So if he feels like he's still one of the best players past this 2-year deal, I can see him re-signing. It's going to be interesting to see if the Lakers want him. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
Do you think he's going to get a championship before his 2 years are up?
I can't even see the Lakers coming out the West.
I can't even see them making the playoffs, right?
Yeah, I mean, I can see them possibly making the playoffs. You know what I mean? But coming out of the West to represent, the West in the finals, that's going to be hard. I mean, if you look at the West right now, San Antonio, they should be there. Houston should be there. Dallas should be there. Portland should be there. The Warriors, the Clippers should be there. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of teams in the
The
West.
Thunder should be there, yeah.
The Thunder, yeah, the Thunder. How can I forget about them? So there might only be like one spot open.
The
You know what I
Jazz
mean?
should be there too. The Jazz looked good last year.
Well, yeah, but the Jazz are still young, and we have to remember that the Lakers did not have Kobe, and Kobe can do a lot for you. Kobe can will your team to win. Kobe can make some game-winning shots and stuff like that. So we have to try to remember what Kobe was before he got hurt. You know what I mean? And maybe throw out the year with Dwight Howard and stuff like that. I don't know if we can really do that, but it's going to be very interesting to see.
Yeah. All right. Carlos Boozer going to L.A. I wish the best for him. I mean, it didn't really work out in Chicago. And we really saw just how much of a second guy he was. I mean, if he didn't have a point guard that was feeding the ball in those pick and rolls, and he just didn't fit in the East. I think it was much more physical. It's much more physical than the West, and that's unfortunate. Yeah. All right. So let's move on. And what do you want to talk about, man? You want to talk about the NFL a little bit?
Yeah, man, let's do it.
All right. So let's talk about the NFL. So last week we previewed the NFC South.
The NFC South.
All right. So what are we on now? Let's see. What are we on?
Are we going East or are we going West? Or did we already go East?
We already went East, so we got to go West now.
Yeah, so it's time to go West.
NFC West. Oh boy. I'm gonna start with you, man. I've obviously your 49ers made some moves. Do you think? But the Seattle Seahawks made some moves too to make.
Yeah, I mean, both these teams are solid. You know what I mean? Both of these teams were good before they made some moves and stuff like that. So it's gonna be interesting to see, what pans out. To me, this is definitely the best conference in the whole NFL. You had two teams that had 10-plus wins. I mean, three teams that had 10-plus wins. We're talking about the Cardinals. They finished the year 10-6. My Niners, I believe, they were 11-5, and of course the Seahawks, I believe, were 13-3. You know what I mean? And I think it could very possibly the winner of this conference is going to be a team from the NFC West. I think it's going to be the Niners and the Seahawks probably battling out to represent the NFC in the Super Bowl again. I'm biased, so of course I'm going to be rooting for my Niners. Of course I'm going to be thinking that my Niners can do it all. But I will be honest, the Seahawks, they do pose a real threat. They really do. The one thing I can say is I'm very interested to see how Russell Wilson is going to do in year number 3. I think, I think that the Seahawks are going to have to rely on him to throw the ball a lot more than he did. And we all saw the Super Bowl and he did his thing there. But for the most part, Seattle's a run-first offense. They did lose Golden Tate. I'm not saying Golden Tate's like a premier receiver, but he is one of the best weapons that they had last season. It's not saying too much about the weapons that they have now. But, I think that the receiving core is lacking. I think that tight end position is lacking. So they're really going to be, heavy running the ball. And when you have Marshawn Lynch and two other, good, solid, young running backs, are going to be able to do that. You know what I mean? The defense is going to do what it does. Richard Sherman, Cam Chancellor, Earl Thomas, they're all solid, probably the best players at those positions right now in the NFL. Definitely the best secondary in the NFL. So it's going to be hard. I think Colin Kaepernick, after signing a $100 million contract, he has to step his game up. You know what I mean? The Cardinals, like I said, they won 10 games last year. You know what I mean? And if they do add another playoff team to the playoffs, then the Cardinals would have been in the playoffs last year. So they're a very good team. The Rams, they play physical defense. Sam Bradford, though, he's going to really have to step his game up. He might be looking for a new place to play football next year if he doesn't, turn into who they want him to turn into. So I'm definitely excited to see what this division is going to bring. I'm hoping that my Niners can win the division. That would be nice to have a home playoff game in Levi Stadium. I'm tired of going to that loud stadium in Seattle to play those guys. You know what I mean? But I'm definitely interested to see. I do think that Russell Wilson's going to have to take another step forward, though. I'm not saying that he's a bad quarterback by no means. He's one of the better quarterbacks in the league. But I think that he relied on a great defense and he relied on the running game and stuff like that. Not saying that that's a bad thing, but I think that this is the year where he's really going to have to step it up.
Yeah. Whew. So wait. So who you picking is to win that then?
I'm biased, man. I'm going with my Niners. But my Niners are a good team. It's not like I'm going out. I'm not like I'm going out on a limb. It's not like a stretch. The Niners are a good team. I think Seattle's probably still the favorite, but if we can find a way to win in Seattle, that's all we got to do is just find a way to win in Seattle, and we got it. Because people forget the Arizona Cardinals won in Seattle. The Arizona Cardinals played physical versus that team in Seattle, and they beat Seattle in Seattle. You know what I mean? Russell Wilson had a decent game, but I think it was really just a field goal battle. Like nobody really put up any touchdowns that game. It was a low scoring game. You know what I mean? And it was a dogfight up there. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, they can be beat. I just hope my Niners can do it this year.
Whew, yeah. Man. Yeah. I want to go with your Niners, man. I really do, but I can't go against my boy Russell Wilson. He's absolutely amazing. And they have one of the best corners in the game over there. The atmosphere is amazing.
Yeah.
My dream one day is to go there and contribute to being the 12th man. And what's really crazy also is, like you said, this is one of the toughest divisions just because even though St. Louis had a pretty bad year last year, if it relies on one person, that's their quarterback. If their quarterback can play well, then they could possibly sneak in there. And that's the same thing with Arizona because Arizona, like you said, their defense could carry them if their quarterback play just got a little bit better.
Absolutely.
And Larry Fitzgerald is a game changer. He's probably one of the last game changers at the wide receiver position that we're kind of seeing right now. I mean, you think of like the top four wide receivers. He's right there, probably at number 2. You know, behind. Arguably, you can put Dez Bryant number 1, or you can put Calvin Johnson number 1.
I mean, I'll probably go Calvin, AJ Green, Dez, and then Larry Fitz.
Yeah. So he just needs someone to get him the ball.
Yeah.
And I didn't watch that many Arizona Cardinal games, but when I did, the one person I was watching was him because I want to root for him. He just, like I said, he needs someone to give him the ball.
Yeah.
But man, San Francisco, they're so good against their divisional opponents, except for Seattle, and that's something that you mentioned. 5-1 versus their division. It's just, gosh, they're gonna be motivated. They got a new stadium.
Yeah.
Kaepernick got some money.
Yeah, he definitely got paid, and that's why I say it's time for him to take that next step. He has 3 great receivers. You know what I mean? He has Anquan Crabtree and Stevie Johnson plus Vernon Davis. He has about 4 running backs in camp right now. Carlos Hyde from Ohio State, of course Frank Gore. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of weapons. So I'm hoping that we can just beat Seattle in Seattle. That's all I'm hoping.
You guys have the best offense, I think. In
the division, possibly, yes, definitely. I'll go as far as say we definitely have the best offense, best linebacker.
Secondary core. Last year was a question mark.
That's the thing. The secondary is not the best.
And that's
secondary is not the best. Yeah, and that's what worries about me. And when you have a quarterback like Russell Wilson who can, buy some extra time in the pocket, it gives the receivers more time to get open, and that's when we have trouble because our corners can't cover for too long.
Yeah. So I'm going with Seattle again, but I do think that San Francisco is going to make it to Seattle just because Arizona and St. Louis is going to be teams that are going to be beat up in this division by their other divisional opponents. So
yeah,
going to be 1-2 like that. So nice, man.
Yes, sir.
All right. Awesome, man. Awesome. All right. Let's talk about Tracy McGrady, shall we? If you don't know,
yeah,
Tracy
man.
McGrady, recently decided that he was going to take his talents to the diamond and try to become a baseball player. His lifelong dream was to become a baseball player, and
I hate when people say that. Like it
And
was a
now
lifelong dream. How can we ain't chase your dream?
right. So now he was there, and he didn't do so well, not very well at all. But he competed in the home run derby. I don't know what happened with that. And then he also struck somebody out. And then after striking him out, he decided to retire. He said, "Okay, so I did everything on my bucket list. I struck out one person. It doesn't matter. I think it was like the pitcher or whatever. But he struck one person out, and then he called it quits." So, um, what do you think about this, man? What do you think about Tracy?
I mean, he definitely pursued his lifelong dream. That's one thing I can say. If this was really a dream of his to play, some type of professional baseball, he accomplished that. He wanted to be a pitcher. That's great. But I mean, Chad Johnson, he also said his lifelong dream was to play soccer. He played for, I believe, the Kansas City team in the MLS. He tried out for them. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Didn't really work out, and then he was done. So to say it's a lifelong dream is like it's kind of BS. Because if it really was, then you would have pursued it. You know what I mean? If it really was, then why would you quit or retire after one strikeout was really your lifelong dream? So these people say that, you know what I mean? But I think it also has something to do with him trying to find something else to do now that he's a retired basketball player.
Like
You know
he's
what I mean?
okay, but I also feel like he would play if someone would give him a contract.
Play
I feel
what,
like he still wants
basketball?
to play. Yeah, I feel like he still wants to play.
Yeah, no, yeah, and that's kind of my point is that I feel like he did it just to kind of find something to do. You know what I mean? Because he said it on open court on NBA TV that if he was in the right situation that he would play, and if he had to take the right situation, the right money, right type of playing time overseas or back in China, he would do that. You know what I mean? Like he said that he would play in China if the situation was right. So that shows me that he clearly still wants to play basketball. You know what I mean? So this was just something to do in the meantime.
Yeah, I like it myself. I like that he came over to the side of the baseball gods, but at the same time, though, like I keep on thinking about the players that worked their butt off to make it to that level that he kind of got a spoon fed to him. I mean, I don't know if he made it legitimately, but I know it's really hard to make it to the place that he was at.
Yeah.
He probably took a spot from someone else, and I don't really like that he could buy his way into that. But hey, I feel like at the end of the day, it was just a publicity stunt. I mean, if I had the opportunity to pay like what $20 to go see Trace McGrady pitch a game, I'd go. If I didn't
Heck
have
no,
anything
you
to do.
lying.
Come
You
on, man, are
lying.
you serious?
If it
That's
was a
crazy.
Friday night, no new movies, no parties, you chilling with your friends, you're Tracy McGrady pitching, yeah, then you might make the trip over to watch him
And he's
pitch
doing
just to have
autographs
fun.
and stuff. Come on,
If he's
autographs
doing
all
autographs,
night.
that's like saying that you will watch Michael Jordan. Well, we all want to watch Michael Jordan when he was playing for the Bulls, but you want to watch him when he was playing for the White Sox? You want to watch him when he was playing for the Wizards? Like, come on, man.
Yeah,
No,
I'd go.
that's like saying you want to see Jay Rice playing for the Seahawks because he did that. Remember? No, I lost you. It's okay.
It's okay.
Yeah.
All right,
He did play for the Seahawks at one point.
he did.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay.
You're like,
All
who
right.
cares?
Who's Perry Rights again? No.
Yeah.
All right. I have one last thing that we can talk about. Do you have anything else that you want to touch on before we get into this last topic here?
No, man, I think it's time for the last topic.
All right. So last topic that I want to touch on, and I don't know if you watched this, was the ESPYS last night. And basically what it is ESPN puts on this like 3-hour long pregame red carpet thing, and then they do a 3-hour long pre show, and then they do the real show for 3 hours. So it's basically a way for them to honor those athletes and the greatest moments in sports. And they gave an award to Michael Sam, and they also gave an award to Stuart Scott for him beating cancer, and
Yeah.
and
Well
all that. So,
deserved.
yes, well deserved. So I don't know if you watched it, but what do you think about the ESPYS as a production as well as just an awards show?
as a production, it's not the best. I mean, you got a whole bunch of people that are like, okay, so you were there, that's cool. You know, like it seems like everybody who's in sports gets invited to it. You know what I mean? So it's like, you
Eh,
know, giving Scott an award, that was nice. You know what I mean? Seeing who wins Athlete of the Year, stuff like that. You know, Football Player of the Year, stuff like that. Top Player of the Year, stuff like that. That's all well and good. You know what I mean? But giving Michael Sam's award an award is like,
right.
you know what I mean? Because like, would somebody else have gotten an award if they weren't gay, if they didn't do anything like he did or whatever? Like if there was no openly gay, you know, players in the NBA or in the NFL, in Major League Baseball, would anybody else get this award? You know what I mean? So that kind of rubbed me the wrong way. You know what I mean? I could care less, you know, what his preference is. It's his choice. It's his life. He can do whatever the heck he wants to do with it. You know what I mean? But for ESPN to give him an award, it's like he wasn't even the best player on his team, but whatever.
Yeah, I watched it because it was on while I was at work, and I was like, okay, whatever. I'll tune in whenever I get a
Yeah.
chance or whatever. There was no sound, and I didn't really need sound for that, because literally they just it based. I mean, what I see it as, and like you said, Giving Stewart's got an award, well deserved. I really like that. Um, but it's just basically like a bunch of people standing around, ego boosting themselves,
Yeah.
and you know, like you said, it's cool to see the best athlete award and that type of stuff. But
Yeah.
at the end of the day, it's like Michael Sam, the trials that he went together, but we're just going to go with that he went through. A lot of other athletes did, and but they weren't like homosexual trials and tribulations. You know, whether it was growing up poor, or whether it was family issues, or living in foster care, or whatever it was. Like, there's so many other stories out there that I feel like are getting pushed down because everyone is so homo centric right now. You know, I mean, and it's awesome. You know that he did what he did, but I can guarantee you that he really did not have to cry on the red carpet when it was getting pictures taken with his boyfriend. You know, like there's no need for him to be crying at this point in time, and it's starting to become uh, more annoying than it is motivational. You know,
Yeah,
so
because I mean, he's really starting to contradict himself, saying that he's gonna go out there and represent, you know, the people who are gay, and people who are backing them well and stuff like that. But every chance that you're in a picture, you're all over your boyfriend, or you're crying, or you're saying something like, "Oh, I hope somebody does say something on the field to me because it's gonna be a problem," and all this other stuff. It's like, dude, it's like you made, you know, you are who you are. You want to be this way. You want to have a boyfriend. That's fine. You want to put it out there for the world to see. That's cool. But why are you crying? Why
right.
are you crying? Like, what is wrong with you? Like, are you okay? You know what I mean? It's like, what is going? Like, I don't know. I mean, I'm kind of getting sick of it. I'm just ready for preseason football. I want to see what this cat. I want to see what this guy can do, because it's crazy how this guy's getting all the attention from the draft, from everything. When his teammate, who played the same position, his teammate was a DN, and he was like the second-rated DN behind Jadeveon Clowney, but nobody was talking about him because everybody was talking about Michael Sam and what he was doing.
Yeah.
So I want to see what he can do in preseason, and I can't wait till Frank Gore runs him over.
Very true. Very true. All right, awesome. So great show, Docky. Great show.
Yes,
It
sir.
was short, but it was short because we kind of talked about things earlier on the week. So, but
Yeah,
like we promised, we're here every Thursday. So here we are once again.
yeah.
Whacking our gums together.
You already
So
know, dog.
you already know, though. So one of the shows we do every Thursday with a minute to preach it.
Yes,
So,
sir.
Donkey, do you want to go first? Do you want me to go first? I don't care.
I can go first.
Okay, because I ain't got nothing prepared. Go ahead, man. Oh, wait. Let me get the thing.
Get the timer, dog. Get the timer.
Get the time.
Do 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 do
All right,
do
man.
do
Whenever
do.
you're ready, just tell me to go ahead.
Let's do it, man.
All right.
All right, man. So Tuesday night was the All-Star game, and it was fantastic to see Derek Jeter, one of my favorite players all time, to be kind of given a standing ovation, giving his little last hurrah. That was great to see. But more so than the game, that Nike slash Jordan commercial was fantastic. Derek Jeter came up to the plate. It was all cinematic. He gave like a tip to he tipped his hat. Then the pitcher in the commercial tipped his hat as well. You had Red Sox fans at the bar tip their hat. The camera went all over the stadium, went into the bars of Boston and New York, went up to Jordan. Who is the brand? He tipped his hat. And it was just great to see just everybody, from rivals to people that might hate the Yankees. But we all know you might hate the Yankees, but you respect and you admire and you care about Derek Jeter. He's been a class act his whole career. So that commercial, that Jordan Brand commercial for Derek Jeter during the All-Star game was fantastic. Kudos to them. It was a fantastic commercial.
Awesome. Yeah, it was, man. It was. It made me cry a little bit.
Everything makes you cry. You Yankee lover.
All right. All right, here we go. Let me reset this. Oh, jeez. All right, here we go.
Yeah, like nothing ready, do you?
I do. Of course I do. What are you talking about? Such a beautiful day. This is great. This is a great day. All right, here we go. Wow. Okay. Okay, sorry. All right.
You're so funny.
All right. Sorry, this thing is like broken or something.
I'm sure it is.
All right, here we go.
You don't say.
You don't. All right. All right, so today I'm going to talk about the MLS, and recently the MLS started getting more traction because, obviously, of the World Cup, and people wanting to see, hopefully, what they saw in the World Cup. Ratings for the, I think it was the Seattle Sounders, where Dempsey and Yedlin play, versus, I believe it was the DC United, I believe. Ratings were through the roof for that one. But as I saw, and I'm confident everyone else saw, the MLS is a joke. And this is why people do not care, because it is basically a bunch of hooligans kicking the ball around, hoping that it goes in the net. And when it does, they celebrate like they did something spectacular, when actually they didn't. It's hard to see, and as a soccer fan, I have no interest in watching this ever again. So I'm looking forward to the Barclays Premier League season starting up once again. Yes, that is my minute.
Nice, man.
So sad.
MLS is a joke.
It is a joke. Like it turns people off from soccer. It really does.
It does. That's why they had no business thinking that it was gonna help that the World Cup. Yes, the World Cup helped it obviously because again it had more ratings. You know what I mean? But ultimately, the talent on the field is gonna generate people or people care about it or not. Because if you remember when Jordan left, basketball took a hit because you didn't have that many great players in the league anymore. You know what I mean? When LeBron James leaves, it might take another hit. You know what I mean? People want to see fantastic players doing fantastic things. And like you said, the MLS is a whole bunch of hooligans out there kicking the ball.
Yeah. Yep.
That was elegantly put too, my dude.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Yours too, man. As always.
I appreciate that, dog.
All right, so that is it for this week. Thanks everyone for coming by and all that cool stuff. Hi, Scott. So we will talk to you guys next Thursday. It is great that we're here again, and so yes. So now I'm just rambling on. Sorry. Okay. We'll be back here next Thursday, 6:30 Eastern Time, 5:30 Pacific Time, 5:30 Central Time, 3:30. I should write this down. 3:30 Pacific Time. for another great show. We'll see if Tox can come back. I know he's on vacation. I hope you're enjoying your vacation, my friend. I saw your pictures on Facebook. I'm jealous. Also, in the casino, don't spend all your money either. All right, those places are death traps. But if you do win money, remember me. All right, give me like $1 million. That'd be nice. But yes, Dawkins, do you have anything else to say before we get out of this piece?
No, go out there, enjoy your life. Don't drop the soap. Peace.
And if you do,
Watch out for living.
all right, guys.